Before you start operating your forklift, make sure you are familiar with all controls, both location and operation. You may be used to working with the reach truck, for example, but since controls vary from one class of forklift to another, you may be unfamiliar with a pallet jack. Be sure to understand every control of the forklift before starting the motor or engine. And never operate controls from the ground. Always get back on the forklift to operate them. Be very familiar with your facility layout and terrain. Know where the ramps and docks are. And stay away from the edges. Once you start moving your forklift, remember to have your forks as low as possible, preferably 2 to 4 inches off the ground. Pay attention to uneven surfaces and other ground conditions that may affect the stability. Driving over a seemingly minor obstruction may cause a tip over. Because your forklift cannot stop on a dime, keep a clear, safe area around you at all times and maintain at least 3 truck lanes behind another lift truck when traveling. You should never pass another vehicle going in the same direction. Notice how this forklift operator waited for the forklift in front of him to come to a complete stop before passing. When approaching corners, blind spots, or any other thresholds, make sure to slow down and use the horn. A lot of accidents can be prevented by being vigilant in these areas. When traveling with the load, remember again to drive with your forks as low as practical. Some cargo may be oddly shaped, so you may have to raise the load a little higher than normal. Remember about keeping that center of gravity in the stability triangle. Usually the rule of thumb is that if you can't see a spot about 6 feet in front of the load, or if the load itself is higher than the backrest, you should drive in reverse. The only exception is when using ramps in order to keep the load at the higher, more stable position. So you should always drive forward going up a ramp, but make sure to use the horn. But then drive down backwards, again with the load at the higher end. And always make sure to drive up and down ramps in a straight direction, and never at an angle. It may feel natural to have your hand outside the forklift when driving in reverse, but this employee is exposed to injury. Always have every part of your body inside the forklift. You may have to enter a trailer or truck with the forklift, and so you should make sure the trailer has been properly secured. Countless injuries and deaths have occurred when a vehicle is rolled away from the dock as a forklift was driving into it, so make sure the wheels are chocked. And if there is no tractor at the front connected, you should use jacks to help support the trailer. Remember, your forklift itself can weigh 5 to 7 times a small car. This is why the security and integrity of the trailer and its floor should always be checked first before attempting to load or unload it. When you get off of your forklift, you are required to do 4 things. 1. Lower the forks. 2. Set all controls to neutral. 3. Set the parking brake. And 4. Turn off your engine. Even though OSHA does not consider a forklift unattended if you're within 25 feet away from it, get in the habit of doing these 4 steps whenever you get off of your forklift to ensure the forklift doesn't drift away on its own. Regardless if the forks were left raised, never walk or cross over the forks, as this is a slip, trip, or fall hazard. And finally, always use the protective device equipped or required by the forklift, such as a seat belt or fall restraint system. It will keep you inside the protective frame of the forklift in case of tip over. Additional training may be required at your site.